Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, viewers online. Thank you for joining this Hangout. We're bringing to you a Hangout live from the U.S. Embassy in Accra, Ghana, and it's about YALI 2016. My name is Yao Kuonu. I'll be moderating this session. On today's Hangout, we have two guests, Mr. Daniel Fennell, the PAO for U.S. Embassy Accra, and also we have Melissa Clegg-Tripp. She is the Director of Office of Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. They're joining us. We're discussing the 2016 MWF, that is the Mandela Washington Fellowship application process. Along the line, we will be joined by three fellows, Rasheeda Yehuza, Veronica DA-SILVA, and Raindolf Owusu. They'll be joining us to also share their experience and to give a few tips to prospective applicants. Now, at this point, I would want to zoom straight to our guest and ask them to introduce themselves. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome, Melissa.
Good morning. Thank you, Yao. We're very fortunate today to have a visitor from Washington who's looking at all of the outreach that the State Department does throughout Africa. And so in some ways, she's bringing a global perspective. We're thinking about YALI as it impacts Ghana specifically, and she's able to lend her expertise to that. So we're very pleased to have Melissa Clegg-Tripp with us, and so I offer a word of welcome and akwaba to my colleague from Washington.
Thank you. I'm learning what that meant, so thank you. Do you want me to say something now?
Sure. So, yes. Okay. Shall we have a word from Melissa?
Sure. I'm delighted to be here. I started my job in Washington in August, and the #1 exchange program on our minds right now is the YALI initiative. It is a hallmark of the Obama administration and a real investment in U.S. sub-Saharan African relations for the future. We're doubling the numbers, as you may know. Last year there were 500 young Africans that went. This year there will be 1,000. Next summer, I should say. And so we're very excited. We want to get word out to young talent that they should put their names forward and not be shy and take advantage of this opportunity. And I'm delighted to participate. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Having said this, we just want to zoom straight into the session. So really, exactly what is the Mandela Washington Fellowship, or YALI?
So let me start by saying, YALI stands for Young African Leadership Initiative. The initiative is a specific initiative by President Barack Obama, who the summer before last articulated an interest in having a connectivity with Africa, not only in today's leadership, not only with the political leadership who exist in the different countries, but also to be tapping into tomorrow's leadership. The idea is that young people will be the actors in democracies. Young people will be the leaders of their countries. And we want to provide an opportunity for them to have models of success, a vibrant network with each other and with the United States, to receive opportunities of professional development, and to personally develop in their attitudes and skill sets so that they can take on a continued leadership role as they move forward in their career arc.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for young Africans to build abiding ties with the United States, to find peers that are of professional and one hopes personal interest to them, and also to network among themselves, because when the cohorts come, they live together for what? I think it's 6 weeks or so at these institutes. We can talk about more, and they really get to know each other in a pan-African way. I'll leave it there.
The highlight, I should mention, is that the fellowship goes to the Washington Mandela Fellows are chosen to go to the United States. In the last 2 years, they had sessions with the President of the United States in person, Barack Obama, in the same room, with very high-level officials from the U.S. government. They had a chance to meet with business leaders, with NGO leadership and visionaries in the United States, and then to be disseminated through several excellent, high-level, highly respected, world-class universities to pursue the area of their interest. And it's really an amazing personal experience. I'd love to hear a little bit from the fellows who are joining us today on that as well.
Awesome. Well, so now that we know exactly what the initiative is, what we've been getting from feedback from online, those who are following the discussion, they like to know who qualifies for this initiative. And we had two distinct questions in that regard. One person says she's 35, turning 36 by the application deadline for this year's fellowship, and the other said he's less than 25 years but still interested in participating. So really, who qualifies to participate in this initiative? Melissa?
I'll start off by saying people can self-nominate and self-apply, and we're urging people to do so. The target age is indeed 25 to 35. I do not know, and I will turn to Danny as someone who's done this before. I have not recruited for it myself. I believe you can apply even if you're under 25. I do not know how hard the cutoff is. 21, you have to be 21 plus, I'm being told by somebody. And can we take someone who's over 35, or is that a hard line?
No. So
Okay.
you have to be under 35 years old by the time the program begins. And to be honest, it's very rare. In the last couple of years, they really haven't chosen anybody out of Washington who's less than 25 years old. But there's particular promise, a track record of extraordinary achievement. It's possible. So if you're over 21 years old, we're really looking for the target audience of those who have already indicated through their achievements that they'll have success.
And this program, we hope, will be an annual one. So for people that are under the 25 age range right now, eventually you will hit the target age. So you can always apply in the coming years.
All right. So Danny, being someone who's done this recruitment process before, exactly how should people apply, or how are you expecting prospective applicants to apply?
Sure. The application is an online application. The website to go through is yali.org or .gov. Yali.state.gov. Thank you. The experts are whispering. And the idea is that you log on, you create a profile. It's all electronic. You have to have a little bit of bandwidth and time. You provide your data of who you are, what you've done, where you've studied. You upload your resume and your CV. You provide background information according to the questions, and your vision. What makes you unique? What have you achieved? What do you hope to achieve? What are your goals for the future? What do you see in your role in coming back to Ghana as part of the African continent? Those applications, once they're received, then will be reviewed by a large committee looking at them. We expect to receive several thousand in Ghana alone. And the finalists then will receive a personal interview by an embassy recruiting committee.
So now this sounds to me like everything is very much online, but do you take paper-based applications? Because the feedback we are getting from those following this discussion is also that, I mean, there are people in the rural areas who do not have ready access to technology or to internet. Do you accept paper-based applications, Danny?
So unfortunately, no. It has to be electronic. Part of it is that this is a global program that's being considered by people in Washington and through a large network. And so even those in the rural environment will have to find their way to an internet cafe or get a MiFi or something and make their way to an area that has a node for internet access to apply online.
All right. Again, also from the rural areas, now a lot of people believe they can't afford this initiative. Is there a cost in application, and can people really afford? Melissa?
I can take that one. There is no fee for this at all.
Okay.
You do have to get to an internet node, as Danny said, but there's no fee. All the costs are borne by the U.S. government if you are indeed selected. There'll be an orientation for you. You go off to the United States. We can talk more about what you experience in the United States later if you like, but you will go to an institute for, I think it's about 6 weeks. You don't live large, but you are given a stipend to live comfortably. So there is no cost. We don't want disadvantaged applicants to be afraid.
Well, For the benefit of the people following the discussion, does this include transportation? That is to say, for example, if I live somewhere in rural northern Ghana and I applied for this and I got selected, I have to make my way to the capital, Accra. That's cost, I mean, in travel. And does it, if it's all that borne by the U.S. government once I am selected?
I'm going to leave that to Danny because you recruited. I know that the international airfare is covered. How about domestic ground travel?
So right now, the major part of expense is getting a visa taken care of. The embassy will take care of the appointment and the application fee. The round trip ticket to go to the United States, the airfare, the hotel, a stipend, as Melissa mentioned, in order to have living expenses paid for in the United States during your time visiting, is all paid for by the U.S. government, 100%. In-country travel, in certain instances, we can help support if there's an issue, and what we usually do is have people come in as part of their orientation, get their visa, and my office takes care of transportation if people are outside the Accra area.
Awesome. So I think that's good news for them. Now, we also got questions from those following the discussions online on our Facebook page, and they wanted to know if they can submit more than one application. I get the inclination that it's because there are different tracks to the program: public management, civil society, and entrepreneurship and business leadership. Point is, you might have someone who is in public sector but does very active engagement in civil society. Should they submit 2 different applications, or can they submit more than one?
I'll take that one. The answer is you should submit 1 application. It's your chances of being selected are not improved. It's not like a lottery system or anything like that if you have 2 or 3 applications out there. You need to choose what track you want to be in: public administration, civic society, entrepreneurship, and submit the best crafted, highest quality application you can. That's my advice.
Now, well, in that sense, it's only logical to follow on with a question. Assuming I chose and you reviewed my application and figured maybe I'm better suited for civic society or business and entrepreneurship, would you be willing to consider me for that as opposed to what I originally wanted to be, or where I wanted to be?
For myself, I would say yes, but I've not done the recruitment. Leave that to you.
So I would say consider carefully which track you are checking the box on in your application, because that really is the one you'll be considered for. There's a little bit of confusion sometimes because people wonder if they're in the management track, are they managing, and it really depends on your area of professional interest. The 3 tracks are distinct. One of them is an entrepreneurial track, that's business in the profit world. One of them is civil society, that means the NGO world. It's not always for profit, it's usually working in civil society. And then the other one is working in public management. Public management is working in a government office or in a ministry, for example, or having an interest in working in the area of a government funded environment. You really have to pick one of the 3. To be honest, the experience is very similar once you go, but they're trying to see those tracks as having distinct, specific sub-skill sets, and you have to really pick at the beginning because that's where you'll be considered by Washington's decision makers. The other point is that Melissa, you should really choose to apply once, but you can only, if you apply more than once, you'll be disqualified. You have to apply only one time.
Okay, so just one last one for clarification purposes. When we say business and entrepreneurship, are we referring to working for a private institution, for example, the huge telecom institutions in Ghana or anywhere in Africa, or are we referring to starting up a business, startups?
I'll leave that one to you. Since you've done it.
Sure, so it's either one. In certain instances, you're a small business because you're one person. We've had applicants who hope to start a business next year and they think of themselves as entrepreneurs. But if you work as an employee or a functionary of a company, you're also in the entrepreneurial track. So anything in the business world, whether it's small, medium, or large, is all part of the entrepreneurial track.
So what happens?
Okay.
I have a question. I'm going to turn the table.
Yes.
What happens if you are a government employee and your job is to try and foment, encourage entrepreneurship and help small businesses? You would apply, but you would apply on the public administration track?
I think so.
Exactly.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for the clarification. So one more question we got from our followers, and this came specifically from someone who had applied last year. What they wanted to know is, can they log into the system and get all the details they used to apply last year again?
So unfortunately, the answer is no. Last year's system was all wiped out for access for applicants. And to be honest, the applications are different. So the specific questions have changed since the last 2 years. So you can repeat the content of your answers that you used in prior cycles, but you have to enter it fresh again this year on the new form.
Well, then that logically leads us on to another question, which is about people who have been on U.S. government-sponsored exchange programs, or people who applied last year. Can they apply again? And if they can, how about people who are considered alumni of other exchange programs, not necessarily YALI, for example, the Regional Leadership Program or IVLP? Can they also apply this year?
I'll take that one, and the answer is yes. If you've already been on this particular program, if you've been a Washington Mandela Fellow, you can't apply again. But if you've been on a previous U.S. government exchange, or if you are a part of the YALI network and the regional leadership training centers around Africa, you can certainly apply. And we encourage people to apply. That said, if you've got extensive U.S. experience previously, and we have to choose between someone who's had a lot of U.S. experience through other exchange programs, such as Fulbright or the International Visitor Leadership Program, versus somebody who's fresh and new and hasn't had an American exchange experience, we may prioritize the newcomer. But that is not to say that we're going to rule out all the past exchange participants by any means. The door is open for them to apply.
So really, it doesn't matter how many times you have applied for an exchange program before, you can still go ahead and apply for this one, right?
Yes, yes.
All right. So the final question in our first round of discussions, this comes from someone who's trying to complete the application. They want to know, after I've completed and submitted my application, can I go back and make changes and add supplemental materials at a later date? Again, is it flexible such that I could start the process, pause at some point and finish it up? And when I have finished and submitted, will I be able to make changes?
The answer to that is, once you push send, it's send. It's like you're pushing the space launch. It's launched. So I believe you can store it before you go. I haven't actually applied it myself, but I know if you hit submit, once you hit submit, you can't go back and make changes.
Okay, Danny, your take on that?
Yeah, so you can interrupt your application over the course of several days. But the final button you push is called submit. Once you've submitted it,
that's it.
You can't change that after that. Submitting is the final moment, and then you sit back and wait for the magic to happen at that point. You can't make any additions.
All right.
After submission.
So proofread it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Danny. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, proofread it carefully, have a friend or a peer review it, walk around the room and come back and then push submit. Make sure it's 100% the way you want it.
Awesome. So this is a tip for prospective applicants. Be sure that you get a double check before you hit send, because once you hit send, you can't go back on it. Now, may I just remind online viewers that you can follow the discussion using the hashtag YALI2016, hashtag YALI2016, or hashtag US in Ghana, hashtag US in Ghana. You can follow our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/US Embassy Ghana. You can follow us on Twitter @US Embassy Ghana, and you can also follow the discussion on Google Hangouts if you have access. At the end of this discussion, we will make the videos available on YouTube, and so you can watch the videos. Now, that leads us into our next round of discussion, which is the experiential discussions. It is at this point that I invite the 3 2014 Mandela Washington Fellows who are alumni to join the discussion. Welcome, Veronica, welcome, Rasheeda, and welcome, Raindolf.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so I will start with the ladies. Raindolf. So let's start from Veronica. How did you find out about the fellowship, and exactly what was your motivation? Now, this question goes to all of you, so you each have a take at it in a minute. How did you find out about it, and what pushed you to apply for it? Let's start with Veronica.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yao, for hosting us once again. So I happen to have 2 colleagues who worked in my organization where I work now, Vodafone Ghana, who applied last year, and fortunately for them, they were selected. So I got to know from them that there was a program like Mandela Washington Fellowship. And also on Facebook, there was a lot of Facebook updates on the Mandela Washington Fellowship program. So awareness on social media as well. So that was what actually made me apply for the fellowship program. Aside that, I also had passion for technology, passion for innovation, and also passion to empower women. So I wanted to be the voice to the many women who couldn't actually articulate what their visions were, and then also build their capacity. So that was my main motivation into the fellowship program.
Brilliant. How about you, Rasheeda? Hello, Rasheeda. Okay, Raindolf, let's take you. How about you?
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for the opportunity. I believe, so I heard about the fellowship on Facebook. So I am a technologist, and I'm always online trying to find out what's new. And I follow the US Embassy Facebook page. So I saw the link to the fellowship, and I read about what it takes for you to become a fellow. And at that point, I thought it was right for me to apply, because this could be a good opportunity for me to market myself as a software developer, and as well as the work I'm doing. So I saw it on Facebook, and I pretty much entered there. So one question you asked earlier on about the age. So when I applied for the fellowship, I was 24. And I think my portfolio was quite heavy, and that was why I was selected. So no one should be discouraged if you are below, if you are above 21. I encourage everyone to apply, because I just turned 25 a week ago. That is even after the fellowship. So yeah,
wow. So
yeah.
you're one of the privileged few. Which means that you really had to present a strong case, right?
Yes. Okay.
So what was your selling point? Because for me, that's really interesting. What was your selling point?
I believe I built a ton of solutions last year when Ebola hit West Africa, and I didn't pretty much deploy just in Ghana, but I looked at areas like Sierra Leone. So I was building technology that was advocating good health measures for people who had Ebola and people not to get Ebola. So I believe my technology I built at that point with my company was a very good selling point. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic and awesome. And this is a note to prospective applicants. Realize that you've really got to build a strong case. Yeah. You've really got to build a strong case. And it's also worth noting that you actually did apply in 2013 and didn't make the mark. Then you applied again in 2014. Awesome selling point. Now let's move on straight to the next question then. would you please describe your experience? Share with us, I mean, some of your highs and lows, but also that one lesson that you took away from either the program or from the institution where you were hosted.
So first off, the fellowship was very awesome because I had the opportunity to meet other Africans. I'm a very strong Pan-Africanist, so meeting other Africans from different countries, learning more about their motivations and where they come from was such a beautiful thing. And I believe the important thing about the YALI program is not about what you're going to learn so much from the States, but what you're learning from your peers. Because they always say, we'll take Africans to build the Africa we believe in. So one of my high points was learning a lot more about other Africans. And I also got privileged to be accepted by IBM. So IBM, I did my institution, my professional development experience with IBM. And that was one of the best experiences you can have. They actually flew me all the way to San Francisco to meet with their team there. And they were excited about the work I was doing. So I believe that was one of the highs. And the lows, I think I took some work there, so I think that's something I'll not do. So I had a lot of things I was into in Ghana. When I got to the state, I was still kind of working. But after I think 2 weeks, I spoke to a fellow, and he told me that, hey, Raindolf, you have to put work from back home on pause and just focus solely on the fellowship. And I think that was the best advice I got from the fellowship. So I would also advise potential fellows that, hey, make sure you're done with whatever work you're doing in Ghana. Just go to the United States and focus on the solely on the fellowship, and you get the best of the experience you want from the fellowship.
Awesome. Let's come to Veronica. What was it like for you? Your experience, the highs, the lows, the take homes. What was it like for you?
I would say it was an awesome experience for me. It was a life-changing experience. Even though I've been to the US a couple of times before, this time around it was on a different level because I had the opportunity to visit other 19 countries, just through interactions with other fellows, even though I didn't visit those countries physically, but then just collaborating with them, interacting with them, sharing our cultures and all that. That was for me, an opportunity that really I had to tell Mother Ghana as well. And then also, I also had the opportunity to also articulate my business ideas. So, and in a minute, I could just pitch my business idea, and then I have people, buying into it, people criticizing and what I need to do better. So it was an opportunity for me to also learn to put up my business plan. And so as I speak today, I'm happy to announce that upon my return, I had the opportunity to get a grant from a foundation in Ghana to implement ICT Hub. So it was out of my experience in my university that I've been able to get my first grant. And then my low side, I would say, okay, so I had to communicate back with my direct reports here in Ghana, even though I was in the city. So in a way, I was working at the same time and learning as well. And also, I had to communicate with my family as well. So it was me. But then, hey, I knew what I was up to. I knew I had a cause. That was why I went for the fellowship. It was for a good cause, even though it was a bit intensive.
All right. So we are very lucky to have Rasheeda back online with us.
Okay, we have Rasheeda.
And hey, Rasheeda, welcome back.
Hey, Rasheeda.
Good. It's good to have you. So while you are away, we were discussing two key things. First, we wanted to know how you found out about the YALI application process and exactly what pushed you to apply for it. And then the second point was we were learning from your experience. We just want to know what the highs were, what the lows were, and what is that one take-home point that you brought with you, either from the program or from the institution where you were hosted.
Okay. So I found out about the program through the YALI network on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
Last year, there were lots of ongoing discussions about Young African Leaders Initiative, and I took part in a lot of those conversations. And a friend of mine went for the fellowship last year, so we had a conversation, and she shared her experience with me and how worthwhile it was for an African leader to apply to the program. So I took her advice, and also from my experience with interacting with young leaders on Twitter, was the defining moment for me to actually apply to the program as a young leader myself. Yeah, so it was a great opportunity, and I had so many experiences. I studied at the University of Nevada in Reno.
Okay.
And it was a great experience on its own. Not just studying at an amazing university, but also in Reno, Nevada. And one of the defining moments for me was the fact that a lot of young people in Reno were coming back to reestablish the city, reestablish businesses. A lot of people had an amazing entrepreneurial spirit. They wanted to rewrite the story of Reno, which is mostly known as a casino city. And that passion and drive really inspired me to, I was able to connect that to Ghana, because you have a lot of young people in Ghana who are doing amazing things, like the Young African Leaders from the 2014 and 2015 cohorts, and also a lot of programs that are going on, like the Ghana Think Foundation. A lot of young people are coming up to start initiatives in health, in agriculture, in entrepreneurship, in technology. And that really inspired me to have individual conversations with a lot of these young people in Reno, to understand where they were coming from, to understand what they wanted to do, and figure a way of incorporating that in Ghana, once I return home. And one of the highs for me was to be a part of this amazing assembly called the Entrepreneurs Assembly. So it was created by young people doing amazing things in Reno. And the main goal for that assembly was to bring together a lot of young entrepreneurs in that area, in technology, in health, who were, across all sectors, who were interested in making a change, creating an impact, and rewriting the Reno story. And they connected them with mentors, helped them write proposals for grants, and helped them come up with great business plans. And they did so many great things for those entrepreneurs, and everything was free. So I really enjoyed that spirit of giving back, and I've been inspired to start an Entrepreneurs Assembly here in Ghana as well, with help from the Entrepreneurs Assembly in Nevada. So that's definitely a great initiative that a lot of fellows from my university will be starting in different cities across Africa. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Rasheeda. So for those following us online, you have heard it from the fellows. We're not done yet. We're going to go into a third round of discussions, which will ultimately wrap us up for today's hangout. Now we come back in-house to Danny and to Melissa, and we want to start with, we've talked about who's eligible to apply. We want to start with citizenship. Now we got a question online that says, I have a dual citizenship in my African home country and the United Kingdom or somewhere else. Am I eligible to apply? Again, on eligibility, if someone has dual citizenship, person is a citizen of Ghana but also of the UK, are they eligible to apply? Melissa?
Sure, I'll take that one. The answer is yes, you are likely eligible to apply. If you are a dual citizen of the United States, however, you can't apply. We're prohibited by law from doing exchange programs, sending American citizens to the United States for an exchange program. But if you are a Ghanaian with UK citizenship as well, you can apply. But if you are living in London, for example, we're not going to consider you for the fellowship, for the initiative. We're trying to prioritize Africans who are resident in Africa, who are doing something in Africa for Africa's future. So if you're dual citizen, not American, and living in Africa, you can apply. Sort of complicated, but you got that?
Sorry.
Could I say something about eligibility?
Sure.
I want to clarify something. There's 3 tracks, and you pretty much know if you're an entrepreneur or business person, you're in that track, and you're pretty confident if you're in public administration, you're in that track. But the civil society one can be sort of a concept that can be somewhat confusing for people. By civil society, we want to make sure that you know that if you are a member of a non-government organization, you are eligible to apply, but you don't have to be a member of a registered, bona fide, legal NGO. You can be somebody who is a self-starter, who is interested in gender issues or disability issues. You can be a religious leader. You can be somebody in the environmental sector. You don't have to be working for a registered NGO. Anybody working in those broad fields who makes a compelling case for his or her candidacy can be considered under the civic society track. I just wanted to make that point.
Okay, so if I got the earlier point right, residence is very critical because again, the other issue, some issue came up during last year's review process. We noticed we got an application from a Ghanaian who was on a short-term, some kind of scholarship or exchange program in Germany, right? And the person was applying from Germany, but he's originally Ghanaian. How do we handle such a situation?
I'd have the person come back in the next year or so and apply again when he is living in Africa. We really want people that are resident in Africa applying for this.
Okay. Now that leads us to one that says, I'm a Ghanaian resident in South Africa. Am I eligible to apply? Here, they're not outside of Africa. They are still Africans in Africa, but in different locations. So are they eligible?
Yes. They should put down that they're Ghanaian as a citizenship block on the application. They can certainly put down that they are living and working in South Africa temporarily, but that's fine. They can apply.
Awesome. So I think that's good news for prospective applicants because that was some bit of a dilemma for everyone. But Danny, now with this recruiting experience, what would you say applicants should do, especially when they are faced with, well, I'm moving around. I am Ghanaian. Currently, I'm on travel in Nigeria. I'm here for say like 3 months, and then I move to Ethiopia to do something. I'm back to Ghana. This person works for a huge multinational, and this is their schedule. What's your take on their prospects?
So I think that it's the quality of the applicant that we're after. The specific African citizenship is important, but they can apply even if they're living outside their country, as long as they're from Africa and they're living in Africa. This is the Young African Leadership Initiative. It's not the Ghana-specific initiative. So I think that they should be confident in the work that they do and make applications. They should know the specifics of where their residence is currently, and it'll be considered in due course with the other competitive in that file.
Okay. So we want to talk about the Energy Institute. Melissa, do you have any thoughts on like applicants who might be interested in enrolling in the Energy Institute? giving all the backdrop to the current Ghana energy crisis, and which is not only peculiar to Ghana, but also in some African countries, because I know, for example, there's power rationing in South Africa as well. So
Right.
talking about the Energy Institute, what are the prospects for applicants who might want to consider enrolling in?
Well, this is a new institute this coming year. For the first time they're doing it. It's going to be one of, I think, there are 20 institutes. There's 20 or so institutes. So this is going to be one unique institute. It will take, the Energy Institute will take applicants from any of the 3 tracks. So you could be working in public administration, civil society, or business entrepreneurship. And if you're working in the field of energy, either traditional energy, alternative energy, energy policy, you can apply for it. We are looking for people that are interested in both pragmatic and creative solutions to the energy challenges in Africa. I read some statistics somewhere that was really surprising to me, that South Korea generates as much energy as all of sub-Saharan Africa. So we know that a reliable connection to electricity, reliable energy sources are fundamental for the economic growth of the continent, and that's why for this year they're doing a special standalone institute on energy issues.
Oh, wow. So, which means that in the application, prospective applicants can indicate that they have a preference for enrolling in the Energy Institute.
Yes, you can put down you have a preference. I think they're going to take about 25 people for the institute. They try and keep the institutes fairly intimate in size so people can know each other, network, not be lost in a crowd. So approximately 25 people will go into this institute. If you're not selected for it, but you're still a compelling candidate, you would be put in another institute with a different theme. But you should note in your application if you have a really strong interest in either traditional energy, alternative energy, energy policy issues.
Okay. So now talking about alternative energy, and that's where I focus on Danny, in your recruiting, would you consider someone who's doing something with biodegradable materials, something closely related to environment, and also about plastics and all of those things? Would you consider someone like that as a strong candidate for the Energy Institute, assuming they're able to link what they're doing to the cost of raising an energy solution or something for Ghana or for their country?
Yeah, I think so. The placement of so our selection process here in the embassy will be thinking about the quality of the individual applicants, in how they might have an impact in their host country upon return. The specific element of who goes to which institute, the Energy Institute or any of the others, that won't be our selection here. It'll be made in Washington for the totality of the body of all of the applicants, of all of those selected to participate. There's 1,000 this year, right?
There's 1,000 that are going to be able to go. Yeah.
From Africa total. So of all the 1,000 fellows selected this year, only 25 will be selected for the Energy Institute. My recommendation is, if there's a strong interest in that, to make a pitch. Why is your work or your prospective activity something that can help the energy sector or make an impact? Mm-hmm. If you're able to articulate that, you'll be put into the hopper with others that also have indicated their interest, and it's a chance to network. Mm-hmm. So I think Yao, you are absolutely right that that's part of what energy is in the world. Is renewable resource management, and if you have an interest in having that apply to the energy sector, you should do so. But it's not exclusively that. It's also people who are engineers thinking about electrical distribution in Ghana. That's a big thing here. We want that to be stronger. Or people in the ministries who are administering how resources are used and managed properly for the future of the country and the region. So that could be in that sector as well. There's no one profile. I think that it's open to those that have an interest and who think they might have an impact.
Okay, thank you. So have to focus back to. If you're following us online, please follow the discussion through the hashtag YALI 2016 or US in Ghana. Hashtag YALI 2016. Hashtag, you follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, or you can follow on the Google Hangout. At the end of the discussion, the video will be available on YouTube, and so for those who missed, you'll definitely get access to it. You can watch it again. Hopefully your questions will be answered. Now, to you, the fellows, I'll start with Rasheeda, since I lost you and you came back, so I'll give you. Now, what is that one advice you would give prospective applicants? That one key thing you want them to know?
I think she's muted.
Please unmute your mic.
Okay. One thing I would say to prospective applicants is that they should just be themselves. Just be yourself during the application process. Try to understand the questions before you answer. Try to understand try to understand what the question is asking you to provide, and be a change agent in your community. Be doing something to help your community as a change agent, as a leader. Either in business or entrepreneurship, public management, or civic society. And yeah, just most importantly during the application process, be truthful. That's the most important thing. Be very truthful. And yeah, the fellowship is an amazing experience, and it's extremely worth all the questions that are asked. So take your time, go through the applications, read it, get someone to help review your application, and yeah, that's my advice for the application process. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now to have we lost Veronica? Okay, you're here.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes. So my advice to 2016 applicants is that you need to perform a self-assessment. Be very sure your goals or your vision aligned with all the requirements, all the benefits of the YALI program before application. And also, just be yourself, as Rasheeda already said. Be very honest with the application. Whatever your achievements might be, you need to be very consistent in your storyline as well. And don't over-decorate your application, because there are other assessors out there who would go through the application line after the other. So you need to just be yourself and put up the best on your application.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. Now, Raindolf.
Yeah.
I know you have a very exceptional story, so what's your advice?
What my advice? Okay, my advice will pretty much be just focus on, I think, one idea or one project you're working on. I understand we live in an environment where you have to be jack of all trades, but then I believe just focus on one concept. Either it's something you want to do when you are back from the fellowship, or something you're already doing and you think you need help. So just focus on it. And as my colleagues have already mentioned, be truthful about your essays. Do not lie, do not build castles in there. Just be realistic about what you're doing. And once the assessors see potential in what you want to do, they are going to be given the opportunity to experience the YALI Fellowship. So I think the number one thing is for you to focus on one concept or one idea you're working on, or something you intend doing once you're back from the fellowship. And also be truthful about the essays. And take your time, do not rush. I think the application deadline is till November. So take your time, go through it, find friends, people you believe who can review it, and then before you even apply, because this is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So it will be good for you to take good advantage of it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Raindolf. Thank you, Veronica, and also Rasheeda. Now back in-house, I'll throw the focus on Melissa and Danny. So Derek on Facebook asks, how sustainable is this President Barack Obama vision, and how does the embassy measure their return? So I think that's what he wants to say. And Latif also asks, some of the questions are demanding 250 words. What's your take on if your answer is less or more than the stated number of words? So basically, Latif wants to know, given the restrictions as to the answers, what do you do when it's less than 250 words or more than 250 words? And particularly for Derek's question, how sustainable is this initiative?
Why don't I tackle the first question? It was a good question from Derek. We believe this is a sustainable program. It is a presidential initiative. President Obama is in office for another year and 3 months. I anticipate that this program will likely continue under a future presidential administration, but I'm not the president. Have to wait to see. But there's many U.S. government programs, such as our support for HIV/AIDS in Africa, that have been supported by president after president after president in the United States. I'm hopeful that the YALI initiative will be one of those. As to the question of how we're evaluating it, it's a very good question. Right now, we're doing it mostly anecdotally and talking to returned fellows, but there's been a recommendation made to Congress, and one that the State Department and the administration supports, that there actually be a professional evaluation of the first 2 years of YALI, and there is going to be a professional evaluative survey done of the program, with results due, I think, sometime this summer. And I presume those results will be made public at some point.
Okay, so
the question, I'll leave it to Danny about the word length.
Number of words.
Yes, so Danny, you're involved in the recruiting process, so reviews.
Yeah, so these applications have limited space, and so there's a limited amount of words for each section. Those are goals. You don't have to count the exact number, but if you go over it, it may run out of space. So those reading it, if you make your answer too long, those reading your application may miss the end of what you've said because it'll be cut off. You're not bound to fill up 250. The idea is that that's your limit. So you want to make your message impactful. It's not a matter of the quantity of words; it's what they say. I think it may have been one of the great poets who said it's not the number of words, it's those which you choose, which will accent your message. So don't worry and be hemmed in by the number. Make that your outside limit and work within it. I think that those reading the applications will be much happier to find a strong, impactful, personal message that makes you stand out as an individual, something specific, rather than going on and on to try to fill up the page.
Okay, so we got a message from Aziz, who joined us on Google+, but basically he wants you to know that he has applied and he's really interested in being part of the fellowship. His interest is in power sector. He's been working for 4 years. But that leads me to ask you, Danny, obviously you're going to have tons and tons of applications. Not everyone is going to get selected. What other opportunities exist for those who don't get selected? Because I mean, if we're going by the figures from last year, you're probably looking at 19-20 people out of 5,000, 3,000 applications. So what do we do with everyone else?
Sure. So first, realize that YALI, I think some of the statements are made by those who just came back, said this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but it's not the only lifetime opportunity. The Washington Mandela Fellowship brings you to the United States. You're part of the Young African Leadership Initiative. But there's other elements that you can consider. First, in the YALI brand, you can sign up to be part of the network. The YALI network are those that receive information. They can participate for free online courses. I think there's 20 or 30 that are available online if you're part of the network. On leadership, on responsibility, on networking,
fundraising,
some things that are very useful for the entrepreneurs in the world to take advantage of, and to see other opportunities that come along. In addition, this is very nice for Ghana, by the way, is that the YALI brand is also extended now to 4 planned regional learning centers throughout Africa. 2 of them have been opened, one in Kenya and one of them in Accra. So Accra, Ghana is host to one of only a few regional learning centers for YALI, and they're going to be starting their selection process even now for their 2nd cohort. It's up and running, so it's possible to be part of a smaller group that comes from West Africa and receives a similar experience, an excellent network of regional people, training and feedback and some brainstorming here on the continent to be part of the YALI network that's specifically working in the Regional Learning Center, the RLC. So that's something to consider as well. And lastly, YALI is not the only way to become a good leader. There's many ways to pursue education and opportunities. The Embassy of the United States has some of those opportunities listed on its website. We're happy to network. There's various entrepreneurial programs. Tomorrow, for example, I'm attending a program at the Impact Hub Accra here on entrepreneurial development, and some YALI fellows are associated with that as well. There's Africa 2.0. There's various partners that we have in the area that are very smart about thinking of new initiatives. And I would say that if you are serious about becoming a better professional, take advantage of all of the opportunities that are coming along. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket, as we say.
Okay. Now that's a great conclusion. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and it's also a great assurance that there are several other opportunities for you to explore. But just finally, concluding thoughts, I come back to this energy thing because it's a big issue in Ghana, at least right now, and I also know that it's an issue in some other African countries. Has this got anything to do with the Millennium Challenge Compact? Has it got any connection? I mean, the establishment of the Energy Institute, and why was it particularly, brought into the fellowship at this stage?
I presume that it was brought in just because the policymakers in the United States know the energy challenges that sub-Saharan Africa is facing, and we want to be supportive. We want to be of assistance. It was startling to me to find out that the power generation capabilities in sub-Saharan Africa are the equivalent to that of South Korea. That's a shocking comparison. And energy is so fundamental to social growth, to education, to being connected to the grid, to entrepreneurship, to quality of life. I think it just was sort of a no-brainer for some people back in Washington to think there should be at least one institute dedicated to energy issues.
Okay, so now final thoughts. What advice do you have for prospective applicants for 2016 YALI?
Well, for my part, I would say in your application, you need to show your hunger for learning, for networking, but you also have to show what you can contribute. So make sure that you come across as somebody who wants to learn, but somebody who can also contribute and educate people about accomplishments and challenges in your professional life. So come across as somebody who's eager to teach and to learn, I would say.
Okay, and Danny?
So I would say also is tell us who you are. You want to be able to represent not just activities or a list of associations, but this is a personal application, and we're interested in picking individuals who will have an impact. And so first, just be honest about what makes you unique and different. To the extent that you can, set out those pieces of you that make you an individual, because this is a very rich and wonderful country. And the more details you share, the better we have an understanding of who we have a chance to select.
All right, thank you very much. So on that note, I would like to thank our fellows, Raindolf Owusu, VERONICA DA-SILVA, and Rasheeda Yehuza. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience. I hope that those of you following this discussion, you have heard firsthand from someone who has benefited from the initiative, and you know that it's not beyond you. You can also benefit. I also want to say a big thank you to Danny and to Melissa. Thank you for taking time to explain this whole process to those following. We are so grateful to have you. And on my part, I want to say a big thank you to the technical team working on this Hangout. It's been awesome. Thank you for your amazing support. And for me, I would say that there is a difference between wanting to do and doing. So if you're following this Hangout right now, please get to doing, apply, and just as they have all said, make sure that you state a case. Sell your case. And hopefully you'll be the next batch of YALI 2016. It's been a great discussion. My name is Yao Kuonu, and I'm happy to have brought this your way. Keep up the discussion. Follow the discussion on Facebook, US Embassy Ghana, also on Twitter at US Embassy Ghana. Follow the discussion using the hashtag YALI 2016 or hashtag US in Ghana. Thank you, and do have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.